Hey guys, hey fellow humans, Jason here. Oh my god. Welcome to the stream. It's been a long day. It has. I just drove for a solid 6 hours. That was fun. Back to my house, and so that was a long ass drive. And I've been meaning to do another live because honestly, the lives are some of the most fun parts. But this is the first one we're going to be able to do on the live stream channel. So welcome to the inaugural live stream channel live stream, I guess. And today, listen, I just wanted to chat about a few questions. I went onto Reddit and I went onto r/asktransgender and I was like, hey, I'm a trans guy. And I was wondering, what are some of the most common questions that y'all get asked? Because I get asked questions as well, and I just wanted to answer some of them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a chill kind of conversation. This is just an Ask Me Anything, and put anything you guys want to talk about in the old live chat. But yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to talk about. All right. So the first one that says, how do I start HRT? Best answer, find a gender clinic and then get to the point where they're going to prescribe you HRT. Best answer, do I need a psychiatrist's letter? Depends. What is the average chest growth over time? I don't know. That's for FTM. I mean, that's for MTF people. No idea. How much fat redistribution can I expect? About the amount that you'd see on normal cis people. Can I wear a binder if I'm not trans? Yeah, if you want to. Why would you want to, though? For all three of you who are watching right now, like, why would you want to wear a binder if you weren't trans? I don't understand. Am I a cross-dresser but not trans? Depends. Do you want to cross-dress like constantly? And do you want to live? Like, do you not want to ever take off the quote-unquote drag that you're wearing? Because then, I don't know. That's a personal decision, though, and it can be a person-by-person basis. So it just matters. Can I be trans if I don't hate being my assigned gender at birth? Ooh, that's a toughie. Hey, I don't know. Can you be trans if you don't hate being your assigned gender at birth? Yeah, no. Yes, no. Possibly. I don't know. For me, it doesn't work that way, but if you don't hate being it, there are parts of, like, for example, for me, obviously, I was assigned female at birth, so there are parts of being perceived as female that I didn't mind as much, but overall, it made me uncomfortable to be perceived that way. So I don't know. That's a tough question. Next question. Is it just a fetish? No. Autogynephilia is not a thing. Bad meme. Very not true. Why do you get turned on? Well, it's probably because you weren't the right gender before, so you weren't super interested in having sex before because it would make you uncomfortable with your own body. That's my guess. Did HRT make you feel less depressed or more peaceful? Yes. How long did it take? For me, hormone therapy started really making me feel better about, I'd say 2 weeks in. Solidly 2 weeks in, because I could see my legs starting to get hairier, so. But I'm blonde, so, like, most people don't notice that anyways. Yeah. I've gotten school, so lives would be easy on the weekends. Yeah. Lives would be good on the weekends. Sorry about that. I would be doing live on the weekend, but I said I would do it today. I promised on the Discord because I was going to do it yesterday, but lots of other things, kind of popped up. Why don't I recognize myself in the mirror? Depends on what you mean by recognizing yourself in the mirror. I'd say I recognize right now that this is what I look like. In my head, though, sometimes it's jarring to look in the mirror because it's tough. Like, for example, my hand right now, I'm going to not look at that, actually. Because, oh boy, that was a dysphoria wave right there. But, like, looking at my hands, there's a discombobulation in my brain. This isn't what I think my hands should look like. So, yeah, depends. What are you doing about your voice? I'm voice training and I'm deepening it on purpose. But all of these are actually from somebody who is MTF. So I'm going to move on to another person, because as much as I appreciate all of these questions, there is somebody else who is a fellow trans man. I'm not going to sound like Corpse Husband. I don't have that kind of acid reflux or anything. All right, so somebody asked the question, what does your husband think about all this? And I assume that if you are married, it's going to be tough to come out as trans to your partner. So there's that. There are a bunch of questions. All right, so this is from another bi trans man. I don't know if you guys can't. No, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way. Too much glare. This is from another bi trans guy. So pan is under the label of bi because bi means two or more, and so therefore pan falls under that. But this is from another dude, so I figured I'd read these. How did you know you were trans? When I heard somebody describe the word trans, and it just went, oh dear, that sounds terribly familiar. When did you decide to take the plunge and start HRT? A month and a week ago. Try and keep up. How do you deal with unsupportive family or passively, vaguely accepting family? You kind of have to set boundaries and barriers, you know? I don't know if this is helpful. How's everybody else feeling about this? Like, if you have an unsupportive family member, right? And they just don't respect you, generally, you generally have to set up respectful barriers with them, polite, but firm, and say, hey, for example, I'm an atheist, right? And if I go to Christmas or something, I'm going to say, hey, I'm not going to participate in saying grace with you guys, and I need you to be cool with that. Or, for example, we'll go to Kentucky sometimes, and we'll just be like, okay, we're not talking about politics. We're just not going to talk about that. And then if somebody breaks that, then you said, hey, we had this agreement beforehand. You're not going to break that. If you want to spend time with me, that's where you got to be. And if they break that agreement, then you're okay to remove yourself from that situation. But it's not necessarily their problem, or no, not necessarily your problem to fix them. You can explain to them all you like. It generally takes those people a little bit of time to think about it. So generally, set clear boundaries. And then if they don't follow those boundaries, enforce the consequences. I'm going to stop putting my hand up on camera because, oh my God, the preview window is giving me lots of big issues with that. Anyways, how's everybody doing tonight? What does gender feel like? I don't know. Gender's pretty gay. What is dysphoria? Dysphoria is a deep discomfort with sexual characteristics of your body that don't match your sex and gender assigned at birth. I accidentally outed myself, and my parents saw your parents' true colors. Okay, I thought you were saying you accidentally outed yourself and your parents saw your true colors, as in, like, you painted yourself. That's what I thought you said originally. I'm really tired, you guys. Like, this is me tired. But, oh. Yeah, no, parents, typically, if you're outed, aren't great. Yeah. But no, it's horrible when that happens. My parents, for example, are relatively progressive people, although I'm working on my mom right now. She still says, the traditional values of the Republican platform I agree with, smaller government, having a strong military to be protected. Gender is a scam invented by bathroom companies. We've said it before. I will say it again. It is. Like freedoms and keeping the government out of stuff. Like, my mom's like, I'm into that. And I'm like, okay, but that's not what the party is right now. And she's like, yeah, that's why I'm registered as a Democrat. And I'm like, thank you for not being crazy. So I'm currently working on getting her to a more left-leaning position. But generally, my parents are they're libs, okay? They're libs. And you know what? That's fine. We'll work with that for now. The libs. Can I still have, like, blank interest if I'm actually a trans man / woman. So this one, I think, goes both ways. For example, if you are a trans man, but you thought you were a lesbian before and you're dating a lesbian, right? Can you still be technically in a lesbian relationship? No, you're in a straight relationship now. So does that mean then that your partner is no longer a lesbian? I don't know. Africans tend to be conservative. Generally. In terms of, do you mean like Africans, or do you mean like African Americans, because they're like black people who are here? Because generally, black people here vote Democrat, because if you vote Republican, not good. Yeah. So if you're, Africans, then yeah. But the thing is that the funny thing is that we'll see in a lot of African countries, this is as far as I know. I know that there's been a lot of weird stuff going on in specific ones. I can't remember right now. This is a nebulous topic. Listen, I'm an American, and I'm sorry, guys, but like, if your country hasn't popped up recently, like if you're not Bolivia, my knowledge is like not super there. But as far as I understand, this is me recollecting from a couple of years ago. There are a couple of countries in Africa where it's literally a dictatorship, and one dude owns everything. And it's like they're still running off of that system in a lot of places, and people aren't being treated as well. Africa isn't what we think of typically. It's not like the tribes and everything, and that's a completely bad stereotype that we need to break, because they have cities and electricity there. It's just not super secure electricity, and that's a lot of the problems. And then there are obviously some places where it's literally what they show, and they're like, oh, all those sad kids. And like, there are some places where that's true, but it's not always universally true. So yeah, no, but I had a point to all of this. My point is that if the more educated you are, the more likely you are to be left-leaning, in terms of just in general, because the more you understand how society works, the more you understand how much unjust hierarchy there is in the world, and the more you kind of want to fix that. Yeah, there is free speech in Africa in your bedroom. Yeah. That's the only place where it is. That's the thing, is that like if you are in a totalitarian state, it's kind of like, yeah, you don't talk. That's why in Stalinist Russia, for example, nobody would say anything about politics, even though the party was only about 10% of the population. You didn't know who was in the party. You didn't know who voted. Only 10% of the population voted. They were still workers, but you didn't know who they were. And so if you expressed dissent in any way, you might have been disappeared, never to be thought of. It's weird. Did HRT change your sexuality? No. I'm still very much pan. No. What are safe ways to bind? With a binder. Can you DIY a binder? I wouldn't recommend it. I have known of people who have nearly lost like their nipples because they tried to bind with duct tape. And they did it for too long. And the duct tape kind of like got so attached to their skin that it almost like ripped them. Not good. Yeah. Can you DIY a packer? Yes. Those are much easier to DIY. Where do you buy trans gears? It's trans stuff, Well, you can get it on Amazon in general. Yeah, no, I know. It's kind of like, how when you rip a Band-Aid off, it gets off parts of your little like arm hairs and such, and so that's why it hurts. Yeah. Imagine that, but like it's your skin. It's really not great. Yeah. But where do you buy trans gear? Generally, the best place to do it nondescriptly would be Amazon. And if you want something that's better, you need G2CB or whatever the combination is. You guys know what I'm talking about. That binder company is typically best. All right. How do you have the confidence to present as your real gender in public? I just decide that the pain of social awkwardness is less than the pain of being misgendered. And typically that motivates me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for advising you on how to visualize pain. I'm sorry about that. All right. How do you correct people on your pronouns? Like this. Hey, I'm a man. That's how I do it. Hey, I'm a man. That's how you do it. But if you're a woman, obviously that's not going to work for you. So I don't know how to help you there. As an ally, how should I correct people when they misgendered someone? Casually slip it into the conversation, and if they don't get the message, take them aside after the conversation. Should I use their dead name to talk about somebody pre-transition? No. No, you shouldn't. That makes no sense. What are things you wished you knew before starting HRT? Honestly, I kind of knew everything about HRT before I started it. I don't really do things unless I understand what I'm getting myself into. So that doesn't work for me. What are things you wished you knew before surgery? Okay. So, as some of you may know, I have already gotten a kind of top surgery. I had to get a reduction because my genes and me having Ehlers-Danlos syndrome happened to mean that, like, there was so much just body tissue on my chest that if you have a lever, it's kind of like a seesaw where you put a certain amount of weight on one end and it's just doing crazy more work than what's on the other. It was basically creating it so well, I actually used to be Leap before I think, and then it just got me into a lot of issues. So I just kind of, now I just think about it. So basically, I had it to a point where it was roughly 35 pounds of weight constantly on a part of my spine because of my genetics and how my chest was. So I had to go and get a reduction. So I have to do top surgery again. I have to do it twice because I only got a reduction the first time. But the one thing I wish I knew before I went into it was how much it was going to itch and how much you can't itch the areas where like scarring is. You can't. And also, I wish I knew how much energy I would have while I couldn't move. You can't lift anything over like 20 pounds or something for the first 6 weeks if you get any kind of like chest surgery, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah. I wish I had known that because, oh my God, I hate doing that. And then the last question that I think I really want to answer would be, what do you miss about your old gender? Being able to get people to do things for me. When I had a great period of time, as anybody who has watched my coming out video knows, between me being able to live as my gender and me knowing I was trans. So sometimes, in order to like justify it to myself, I would tell myself, okay, you're in drag right now, and just like mess with people. Because otherwise the dysphoria would have like taken over me. So I would go and just like, sometimes I would definitely play up to stereotypes in order to get people to do things for me. I used like my height a lot to get people to do stuff, like reach something. That's the thing I miss. The other thing I miss is probably, it is a lot easier for women to get dates than dudes. The reason why, and this is not a bad reason, it's just something we need to change societally, is that if you are a girl, if you are one of the girls, right? Ladies, I'm sorry if I'm appropriating your culture right now, but if you're one of the girls and you go up to somebody, you aren't considered a threat to this person that you're interested in. Whereas if you're a guy, you are. And that person's alone, you're a threat. And that's not wrong, because women do experience much more assault than men do in terms of violence and such. But it does suck for dudes because you're considered to be the dangerous one. Why are guys always pressured to ask the girl out? Super simple answer: chivalry. It's considered to be the manly thing. But hey, in ancient Greece, it was actually considered the other way around. It would be the women who were supposed to ask the guys out. So it's not, that's just a gender norm that we have, these days. That's just like not super valid, but guys are pressured to ask girls out because it's seen as just like a manly thing. I'm not quite sure why. I guess it's considered because you're supposed to be in charge of things and you're supposed to go up to somebody and be in charge of that interaction. So I think that's why people are pressured into asking girls out. But yeah, I think that's largely why people do what they do, I'd say. All right. Now, listen. We're going to talk about the super straights for just a second. Okay. I don't know why makeup isn't manly either. Here's the thing. People who go on stage wear makeup. I think it's fine. If guys want to wear makeup, just look a little better during their day. Go for it. You know what? That's great. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is amazing as an anime because it's dudes in hyper awesome fashion, just with eyeliner. They just go places. That's what I want. That's what I want in my life. However, for me personally, gender is cringe. It matters an awful lot to me. So I'm not going to do it. I want to see it, but it matters a hell of a lot to me because dysphoria. So I refuse to do that because I don't want to get misgendered. However, I want us to work towards a place where that's acceptable, if that makes any sense to anybody. But yeah. Now, super straight. There are a lot of people who, underneath Christina's lovely video on the super straights, have decided to brigade and say, oh, you're super phobic. Okay. Now, here's the problem. Asexuality is defined by the people you are attracted to. It's also defined by the people you aren't attracted to, but the key focus there is that you're attracted to a category. Nobody is saying that if you are gay, that necessarily means that you are only attracted to tall guys. Here's why I mention this, because super straight is saying we're straight, we're attracted to women, and it's always coming from dudes. Let's be real here. It's usually coming from the dudes. People say that. You'd be surprised. Go through the comment section of that video. I'm not kidding. Do it. Later. You're here with me now. Stay here. We're here. Here's why I say that. The super straights are supposed to be straight people who are attracted to only cis women. Right? It's usually dudes. Now, that's fine if you are straight and you're attracted to women. However, being gay doesn't automatically mean you have a certain preference. And so making up an entirely separate sexuality just because you prefer not to date trans people, for whatever reason it may be, that's weird. There was one person who decided, and I'm going to pull up exactly what they said because I have to read this out to you. So here's what I said as one of my comments. If you are in love with someone and you, 1, find out they're trans, you didn't know before that point, this is 2, you didn't know before that point, i.e. they are post-op, so it's not a genital preference thing. 3, have no other reason to not be attracted to them up until that point. And then 4, decide to break up with them because you find out they're trans. That's transphobic. Here's why. You didn't have an issue with their reproductive health. You didn't have an issue with their genitalia. You didn't have any issues with them before. And then you find out they're trans. And the fact that they were assigned whatever at birth, you're just not going to do that. That's a bit weird to me. I can understand why it would be viscerally, though. In the same way, I can understand that somebody who is a massive gender advocate, for me personally, right, I still have that visceral, I don't understand why somebody without dysphoria would want to identify as trans. However, I recognize logically it makes sense. So I am still working on that viscerally. I understand if somebody has a visceral reaction and that's the reason, but in general, doesn't make any sense. Just so we're clear. Somebody decides to ape my format. And this is what they compare it to. If you love someone and find out that 1, they are an assassin, 2, you didn't know before that point, and 3, you have no other reason not to be attracted to them. Do you see how you sound? Just be upfront in the beginning. Better question. Why did you hide being trans if you're so confident in your identity? Okay. So this person just said that being trans is like being an assassin. So that's what that person just did. This dude, I assume it's a dude, because their name is Ja'Cory Lewis. I think only a dude would have that name. Is like, if you love someone, you find out they're an assassin. They're comparing the format of what I said, which is that you find out that they're trans. So I'm talking about the super straight thing. Somebody just compared being trans to being an assassin. The reason why that is fundamentally stupid is because being trans is who you are, it's not what you do. So, like, this is the same exact thing that I would say I would compare this to if I were to talk about drag versus being trans. Being dressed in drag is what you do. It's not who you are. Being trans is who you are. Drag is what you do. Being trans is who you are. I'm getting the comments from my comments under Christina's video about the super straights. This person decided to reply with the format I made, which was, if you are in love with someone and then you find out they're trans. They decided to say, if you love someone and you find out they're an assassin. So they're saying that being an assassin is the same thing as being trans in this analogy. And then they say, better question, why did you hide being trans if you're so confident in your identity? Okay. You're confident in your gender identity, right? Why would somebody you're dating need to know you're trans? Does anybody in chat, go ahead. Like, give me an answer. Why? Why would you need to know? Why is that necessary? Why is it important? I don't know. Somebody might not like that and murder you. Well, yeah, that's if they find out. But, like, to be honest, if you pass and they don't need to know, this is who you are now. Exactly. You could get hate crimed if you tell people. That would be a reason why you wouldn't tell people. But why does it matter? You're still, unless you're transphobic and you don't think that trans men are men, right? Or if you're that one person, I recently got my first accidental ally who told me, "You'll never be a woman. You sound too much like a man. Your face structure is too man." I was like, "Thank you." They also you know, that was real fun. They also told me to kill myself, but I decided not to do that. But listen, accidental allies are the best fucking thing ever because it's the most validating shit. It's like, okay, you don't think being trans is valid, and yet you're gonna tell me that I pass? I love that. That's great. We can always tell. Really, Ronald, really. Yeah. No, somebody could get murdered. Yeah. Why would you not risk your life? You have a boyfriend. Yeah. So fundamentally, the only reason you'd need to tell somebody that you're trans is if you wanted to. Why would you need to? If they don't see childhood photos of you, or if you just have a bad relationship with your family and you never go home, or your family just doesn't have any pictures of, like, why do you need to know that? You can say that you're infertile, and you can mention that, but, like, fundamentally, the only reason that somebody would be upset that their partner didn't tell them they were trans, if they already knew, they were infertile, they couldn't have kids, blah, 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 would be that they don't think that trans people are valid as their own gender. So then, why would being super straight not just be transphobia? Because I think they're the same. Because I think it's the same. And it's okay to tell your partner that, obviously. I personally think it's perfectly, I personally would never really hide that from a partner, but I don't really know why a partner would necessarily need to know. I could just be infertile. I could, there's a bunch of different explanations for all of these things that you wouldn't even need to lie necessarily to be safe from. So that being said, being super straight or declaring yourself super straight is transphobic. If you say you have genital preferences, it is not. If somebody hasn't gotten bottom surgery or whatever, or they don't plan to, and you're just not into like whatever they have going on down there, that's fine. No one is saying that. But it is sad. Yeah, no, I really do plan to tell people that I date that I'm trans. Yeah, no, I plan to. And I think that you should, just because honesty thing, and it means that you actually understand your partner a bit more and you can talk about your childhood a bit more, like it's a part of your life story. So I would say probably best to tell, but I don't understand why people would need to, in a sense, I would check. Yeah, like as in, the ephemeral we, the people. You know what I mean? I personally plan to tell everyone who I date that I'm trans because, to be honest, I don't plan on getting bottom surgery. The reasons for that are as follows. One, the success rate's pretty low. And two, it wouldn't get the results I wanted. So, yeah. Yeah. But hopefully bottom surgery actually improves over the next few years. Then I absolutely will get bottom surgery. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, well, I won't then automatically be able to have a kid if I get a girlfriend, so I'm never going to get bottom surgery. No, that's not necessarily my reason. It's just that bottom surgery for trans men is way behind in terms of like what we have for bottom surgery for trans women. Trans women have bottom surgery privilege in terms of their bottom surgeries are much better than ours. Let me just say. But yeah, being super straight is transphobic. Reason being, if you can't tell someone's trans and it's not at all relevant to your relationship and it doesn't change anything about your knowledge of them, except for the fact that they're trans, why do you need to know? It just explains their history or their past in a better way. This is the person they are now. You're attracted to them now, not as a 5-year-old. You're attracted to them now. Or unless you're a pedophile, I don't want to do any pedophilia erasure, But let's assume you're attracted to them now. Why? And I'm going to make this clear. No, MAPS are not a part of the LGBTQ community. Like, that was a joke. We're clear. Yeah, so, like, why? Why do you need to know? What is the reason? Please, if somebody passes and you can't tell, and you're okay with their fertility status, why? Why would you want to break up with them just because they're trans? If you already knew everything else relevant about relationship stuff, why would being trans change anything? Because to me, it shouldn't. Because if it does, it means you think you've been tricked. And this is just the it's a trap meme taken to a higher degree. Yeah, preferences would make sense if it was a genitalia thing. But if it's not a genitalia thing, and they pass flawlessly, and you don't have any issues, and you had to be told that they're trans. Now, if you're going to go hook up with somebody, right, and you're trans, and you don't have bottom surgery or whatever, tell them beforehand, especially if you're a trans woman. This is how trans women get murdered, because people think that it's gay because they don't actually recognize trans people as the gender they are, right? So this is what happens. People think they've been tricked into doing something gay, especially straight men, because the thing is that if you're a dude, toxic masculinity dictates that you gotta be straight. It's just the way we've been raised, the picture of masculinity, nowhere in there is being gay, and being like even slightly gay, that's seen as not good. you know? It's a whole thing. We can get into it. We'll do this as a stream later. We can do that as next week's stream, talking about toxic masculinity. And then the stream after that, we can do toxic femininity because, oh my God, there's a lot of that. But nobody ever talks about the toxic femininity. Yeah, no, something you personally have to deal with. Yeah, no, why can't men cry? Well, the answer is that testosterone actually, I've recently discovered this, testosterone actually makes it more difficult for you to cry, believe it or not. But not much more difficult, actually. Feel free to say any cat puns you like, Mary. But seriously, though, the super straight thing makes no sense. Because you are making a sexuality based on a preference. That's not what any other sexuality is based off of. What about bears, though? I don't know. Do you mean the gay kind, or do you mean, like, the actual bears? Yeah, no, crying easily is good. It shows your emotions. In ancient Greece, that was considered the most manly thing you could do. Express your emotions. Yeah. Well, yeah. But here's the thing, is that the super straight thing fundamentally comes down to you think you're being tricked into doing something gay. That means you don't see them as their gender. Now, fellas, is invalidating somebody's gender identity transphobic? Because I'd say yeah. I'd say it is. So that's fundamentally why I have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with anybody saying, I have a genital preference, I don't want to date anybody who isn't, like, post-op bottom surgery. Fine with that. If somebody's like, I don't really want to date a trans person who's going through transition because that's a lot, I've got a lot on my plate right now, that's a lot going on with them psychologically, physically, they're going through a lot right now and they need, like, a supportive partner. Fine. That's not transphobic. That's perfectly fine. But if you say, I don't want to date a trans person because, like, their chromosomes. Okay. Have you gotten your chromosomes tested? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I've heard of a couple trans women who've gotten their chromosomes tested, and they actually have XX chromosomes. They were just, like, seriously intersex. And they wouldn't have known. Because if you're intersex to a certain degree, you don't know. Because you look cis, but just in the other way. So I can't imagine it. But yeah, no, the whole thing is that being super straight is absolutely transphobic for the reasons I've just laid out. Those are all the questions that we had that are commonly asked of trans folks, that I found on Reddit. And yeah, I think that's all I said we were going to talk about for today. Did I say we were talking about anything else? Let me see. No, that's all I said we were talking about. So this has been a successful first stream, I think, for everybody. And yeah, I hope that makes more sense to everybody. I'm going to be putting this in. We're absolutely ready for your cat puns, Mary. I ignore chat unless I have something, when I have something to say. Just so you know. But yeah, those are my explanations. I hope it makes more sense because, my God, seeing trans people, compared to assassins there, did not feel good. And I felt as though I had to explain why I think it's offensive. Okay, you better be, because we're not kidding around here. Why reveal trans secrets? What do you mean? It's just like cis secrets. They're just, more gay. Fellas, is it gay to be straight? Because when I think about it, if you're straight, the likelihood that you have a bunch of women friends, real low. All your friends are guy friends. That's pretty gay when you think about it. Just gonna say. We're not secretly assassins. Listen, as ContraPoints has wisely pointed out recently, every trans person is valid, even if they haven't killed a bunch of people today. Oh my god, everybody please, if you haven't already, ContraPoints has an amazing video on J.K. Rowling that I used a clip of for my most recent video because beautiful. Fellas, is it gay to be trans? I don't know. Listen, here's the thing though. Straight dudes are fixated on their junk. Like, fixated with it. What's with that? It's kind of gay. If you're fixated on your junk, think about it. What do you call a cat that gets everything they want? Persuasive. People are like, oh, people are fixated on that. What's with that? Even straight dudes are fixated with their junk. That's kind of gay when you think about it. What if everyone is secretly gay? Sam Collins is straight, yeah. And I thought I was straight for a good period of time. Because I had thought previously that I was a lesbian before I realized I was trans. I didn't come out as a lesbian, thankfully. So that was good. But yeah. Nobody has to be gay. You just are what you are. But that's the reason mainly why people have an issue with the super straight thing. And I think I explained it as well as I can. Also, somebody else was coming up. I pointed out that this is a tolerance paradox issue again, where we don't have to be tolerant of the intolerant. And somebody was like, what are you talking about? It's not a paradox. And I'm like, yes, it is. Tolerance paradox is super easy. It's if we live in a society in which we want it to be peaceful and we want democracy to run, for example, can we then allow fascists to take power democratically? No, because the fascists will get rid of the democracy. If we value the democracy, we need to prevent the bad people from running and getting power, because then we don't have democracy anymore. If you like free speech, you need to have terms of service on websites, because if you don't, then everyone who is gay or trans or a woman or black or whatever, not a cis white man, is going to be bullied off of it. And so nobody can talk to each other. Your freedom of speech is impacted by the environment you're in. My major in college, I haven't decided yet. I think I'm probably going to major. I thought about doing sociology, to be honest. I think I'm probably going to do, I think I'm probably going to do physics, possibly bio, but I don't know. What did the cat say to the other cat? Pardon me. Damn it, Mary. Okay, that's good. It was possibly math or something. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. Depends, honestly. But yeah. On a base level, though. Why, thank you. I just like to learn a lot. So I like to look into a lot of things. And I like to try and understand as much as I can about the world. I think fundamentally that's the best way to just come to conclusions. Yeah. I try to be informed on everything I talk about. Because otherwise, what's the point? How are we doing with the cat? Pun. So far. So far good. Yeah, we're doing good so far. All right, you're done with the cat puns? Yeah. So anyways, guys, I think I've explained this as best as I can, and I think I've answered all those little questions. Yeah. I haven't set this channel up properly, so there isn't going to be the Discord link or anything. But thank you all for joining me for this live. Controversial opinion, cats are better than dogs. That is a controversial opinion, and I will debate you on it, but oh boy. I don't know. I think that comes down to personal experience, though. That's preference-based, to be honest. Depends on where you are, depends on where you live. Where you are in your life, depends on who you know. They can be in different situations. It's kind of like, which one of my siblings do I love more? Depends on the moment. Depends on, when. when it is in the world. Like for right now, I'm going to say my younger sister because my older sister is still constantly dead naming me, but she's not fantastic about anything. So anyways, bye everybody, and thank you for watching this first live stream. I'm going to be putting this in a playlist on the other channel so that everybody can see it. But thank you for coming to the new thing, and I will see you all either next week or possibly on Saturday. I haven't decided yet. Okay. Bye for now. And I genuinely hope that you have a good day. Bye.